Hey guys, I don't know how this is with you guys, let me know in the comments, but I don't really like working with headphones. Whether it's mixing or tracking guitar or editing audio and whatnot. I don't know, I guess it causes a sort of disconnect between me and my projects, and I'm just so used to working on studio monitors. Luckily, IK Multimedia came up with a solution for this problem because sometimes it can be really convenient to be able to work on headphones, right? So they've released this little device, Arc On-Ear. And this is a, I can't use the word game changer, can't use that word anymore, but this is a revolutionary product, in my opinion, Arc On-Ear. Today I'm going to show you guys what this thing can do and talk about it. Now this thing basically will transform the way that audio comes through headphones, okay? Because listening to music, whether you're mixing, mastering, or tracking or whatnot, sounds quite different when you're listening in a room with studio monitors, for example, versus listening to the sounds through headphones, right? It's a very different experience. And this device, which is going to cost around 250 euros ex VAT, is sort of meant to bridge that gap, okay? Now, there are some similar-ish products on the market, one of which I've tried for myself, but they're quite different. It's a different experience, okay? Now, what don't I like about working on headphones? Whether it's mixing or playing guitar through a modeler, for example. Well, to me, it always sounds kind of unnatural. If we take playing guitar through a modeler, for example, whenever I plug my headphones into a modeling platform, the sound is always too direct. It feels unnatural, especially since when we're playing guitar, we're used to playing guitar in a room, whether it's through studio monitors or through speakers, and room ambience and reflections, they can have a huge impact on the sound, okay? And of course, the way the speakers sound, so the coloration of the speakers themselves in the room, and normal headphones can't really replicate that experience. It's too direct, it's too in your face, at least for me. I also feel like it sort of shuts me off a little bit too much. It's not a big deal, but that does contribute to how I prefer listening through speakers. The room ambience and the crosstalk between the speakers just makes it more natural and pleasant to me rather than using normal headphones, right? Another thing about headphones is that they're not flat. You know, every pair of headphones that you can get, including this Biodynamic DT77 Pro, which I've had for many years, has coloration. So some of them might have scoops in the mids or bumps in the mids, or might be brighter or have a more pronounced low end. So they're not flat, which doesn't make them ideal for listening to mixes and making mixing decisions based on that sort of colored curve that you're getting. So yeah, I just prefer speakers, okay? And no matter how much I've tried through the years using headphones, it just never really works for me, and I always go back to my speakers because that's what I'm used to. Now, I mentioned the crosstalk thing, right? Technically, that's a pretty big difference because when you're in a room listening to speakers, the sound that is coming out of the right speaker isn't only going to reach your right ear if it's panned 100% to the right or left. It's also going to reach your other ear, okay? And there might even be a very slight delay, and vice versa with the other speaker. So there's crosstalk, that's what I mentioned. Normally with headphones, if something is panned 100% to one side, it's only going to reach one ear. And that is not the case when you're using speakers. So that's also why it's a different experience, room reflections and stuff aside. Of course, in order to get a flat frequency response, your room has to be treated. And in my case, I use IK Multimedia's MTM iLoud speakers, which are awesome. And I do use Arc on them, which is a room correction software, which makes them even more flat. Because a flat frequency response is great for making mixing decisions. It allows you to hear how your mix actually sounds, and that will translate better over a wider variety of systems. But yeah, switching from real speakers when I'm mixing to a pair of headphones is just a little bit too jarring for me. The difference in the entire way that I experience audio is just too different. And I really think that this thing, yeah, like I said before, is meant to bridge that gap. I think that's a great way of describing it. Now, I'm not very technical, but this device does use a different method than all the other competing products, and it promises a more pleasant experience because of that. And I can tell you that with my tests so far, it is indeed a very pleasant product. It's very pleasing to the ears, and it doesn't sound weird or jarring or anything like that. Another cool thing is that this is not a plugin. As you can see, this is hardware, so it's super portable. So you basically plug your audio source into here, either through the analog in on the back or through USB. So it's kind of like an audio interface. You can send the audio signals digitally to this unit, and then you connect your headphones to the headphone output. So this is a very nice, high quality headphone amplifier as well. And then all the audio processing happens inside the unit itself. You can control the unit through an app on your computer, of course. We're going to do that in a couple of minutes as well. I'll show you what the software does, but you can load, I think, 5 presets onto the unit itself. And then you can take this anywhere you want, whether it's on a plane or on a boat or on a Zeppelin or whatever. Plug this into your audio source, whether it's a modeling for playing guitar and dialing in guitar tones and getting more precise guitar tones, or whether you want to mix or master on your laptop. You just take this with you and you get the sound of a proper flat studio wherever you want. Not flat per se, because you can choose a lot of different speaker emulations, which I'll show in the app, and that's also a very nice feature of this. So yeah, it's kind of like a technical marvel, right? It's also an analog volume control. So a lot of audio interfaces have digital volume controls, and when you lower the volume on those, you basically degrade the signal, not with this analog volume control. So you can make the sound of your headphones flat. So you can make the frequency response neutral, which is already quite powerful. And you can enable that with the Cal button over here. You can't really see it right now. Let me turn it on because it has a built-in battery, right? So this is the Cal button. You can turn the calibration on or off to make your headphones sound flat or not. You can choose that for yourself. You can turn it off or on with this button over here. And with the other button, the studio button, you can simulate the sound of being inside a studio and then simulate the sound of studio monitors, a wide variety of them, and more will be added in the future. More about those speakers in a minute when we'll get to the app. And then we've also got this button over here, the FN button. You can basically assign that to multiple functions, which I'll also show you in the app. So yeah, that's the device itself. These LEDs on the side here, those indicate on which preset you are currently. We have a power button. Again, USB, you can also use that to charge the device. This is your audio in and your headphones out, right? So let me turn it off for a sec and show you what else you get. With the device, you get this little pouch with some cables. So there's a USB cable in here, as well as a cable that goes from mini jack to a standard jack. So that's really convenient. Now, before we get to the software, which we'll get to in a minute, I want to echo how cool this is also for people who like or enjoy dialing in guitar tones, whether it's on a modeling platform or through a mixer or whatnot. When you're dialing in tones for a mix or perhaps for a preset pack or whatever, having this between the modeler and you in your headphones will make it sound as if you're tweaking the tones inside of a real treated studio. So it's also very powerful for that. And I really wanted to echo that this is not just for mixing or mastering. I can see a wide range of applications for this device, okay? Now let's go over to my DAW and I'll show you the program real quick. I can't really let you guys hear how it sounds because that just wouldn't work technically. You'll have to experience that for yourself, but I'll sort of tell you how I am experiencing it, okay? All right, guys, I'm sitting at my desk with my DAW. My speakers are turned off. I have the ARC on-ear connected to my computer digitally. So through the USB connection, which means that in Cubase over here, which is my DAW, I have it set to the ARC on-ear ACO driver, okay? This is the DAW where I have one of my own projects loaded up. And then this is the ARC on-ear software. So when you buy this device, you get a code. And then with that code in IK Multimedia Product Manager, you can download this software as well as drivers for your computer. Now let's take a look at this software over here. Now with this button on the top left, you can choose whether to look at beautiful speakers in a studio space, as I've got going on right now, or the frequency response. So the blue line shows you the pre-sound, so how it was before, and the red line shows you the post. So that's how the sound is after the calibration with everything on and off, right? And then you can also tweak the sound a little bit over here for yourself with this EQ, which I don't want to do at all. So I'm going to set that to 0. Don't need any of that, but yeah, it's nice to have that, right? But yeah, I kind of like the space option. I think it looks quite nice. But you know what? Let's leave it on this for now so that you guys can see sort of what is happening, okay? And then over here, we have the calibration section, which you can turn on or off. And then you can tweak the sound, or the tone rather, to make it sound a bit more warm or bright. Now let's turn everything off, so the studio simulation as well. We'll get to that in a minute. And let's start by just trying the calibration. Before we do that, by the way, let me show you something, because with this software, you get a bunch of pre-processed virtual models that match your headphones. So they measured a bunch of headphones, and I think that more will be added. And then you can pick the one that you have. In my case, it's the DT770 Pro 80 ohm version. I have it selected over here, but we can take a look. So, you know, there's a bunch of brands here, as you can see. So in my case, since I have the 80 ohm version, let's select 80 ohm and narrow it down a little bit. And then as you can see, we have the one that I have over here. You can load that, and they measured the headphones, and then they apply a curve to it so that it sounds flat, right? And there's a bunch of headphones that you can select. I'll try another one in a minute. I have another pair of headphones here. These are the Sennheiser HD 490 Pros. We'll try them in a minute as well, just to compare. Anyway, let's go back to the calibration. I'm going to play this session, try the calibration on and off, and let you guys know what I'm hearing, okay? Yeah, so that definitely makes it sound more flat, right? It sounds more flat. The real headphones are a bit more thin. As you can see, there's a large dip here at 200, so there's a bit of warmth missing. And the headphones themselves are pretty bright, and this evens it out and makes the mids more detailed, basically, especially here in the lower mids. So yeah, it makes a difference for sure. So that alone is a great feature to have. Now, then we have the studio simulation, which, you know, both these calibration and studio simulation options, again, have a little button on the device itself. But let me try that. I mess with the width a little bit, because you can make the stereo image more wide or more narrow. And I'll let you guys know how that sounds, okay? With the pre-selected speaker that I've already selected, I'll get into that in a minute. Let me take a listen. Yeah, so with the studio simulation feature off, just as I described earlier in the video, I get more disconnected. The sound becomes too in your face and too close, if you know what I mean. You probably know what I mean. But with the studio simulation on, the sound sort of goes back a little bit, and you get that crosstalk thing, just as if you're listening in a room. Now, the fact that you can enhance or make the width more narrow is a nice feature. I've sort of have the tendency to put it at max because I love that width, but that might not be ideal for mixing. So I'm just going to leave it at 100. But that makes a huge difference. This is one of those things where you're just going to have to hear it and try it for yourself in order to believe it, right? Now, they went the extra mile and applied the virtual speaker as well. So let me take a listen and turn these speaker models on and off. I have iLoud MTMs. Those are the smaller MTMs selected right now. I have a pair of those in the back of my room. Those are great. I'll try some more in a minute. Let me start with this and then turn the virtual speaker on and off. See how that sounds. Yeah, so if you're used to a certain pair of speakers, this is gonna, you know, change the sound to make it sound closer to the speakers that you're used to, which is cool. So there's a wide range of speakers to choose from. So you got a bunch of studio monitors, some hi-fi speakers. We have a smartphone, which I tried this afternoon. Sounds really like thin, like an actual smartphone. So you can reference your mixes on that. portable Bluetooth speaker as well as TV speakers. And they will add more of these, so that is really cool. Now, since I'm using the IK Multimedia iLoud Precision MTMs, I hope they'll add models of those as well, you know, to make the gap between my real speakers and headphones even smaller. I kind of like having the speakers off as well, you know, so it's not really necessary to use the virtual speakers, but it's a great feature. I think I'm just going to stick with these because I like how they sound. As you can see, there's a bit of a roll off at the bottom end at around 70 hertz or so. So they don't have a lot of sub, but that's fine. You know, a lot of monitors also don't have that. And if you want a really precise sound, just turn this off. But yeah, that's a cool feature. So this is the FN button assignment. Here you can choose what the little button over here does. Now, right now it's set to mono. So when I click this switch, or click this switch rather, the sound becomes mono. You can also choose the phase align feature, the virtual speaker on and off. Then we have the dim feature, which dims the sound. We have a mute as well, LED off function, and pause play for your DAW and whatnot. So that is cool. And then over here, you can save your presets so that on the device itself, you can select the 5 presets. That is also cool. So for instance, if you're going to do different headphones, you can put various presets on the device that match those headphones, right? So I did mention that I have another pair of headphones. So we're going to connect the Sennheisers. So the HD490 Pro, which I haven't used a whole lot because of the fact that I just always have a hard time connecting with headphones, if you will. So let's try this and see how this one sounds. Now, of course, I'm going to need to go to the Select Headphones menu and then go to the Sennheiser menu over here. And there we go. This is the Sennheiser HD490 Pro, exactly the ones that I have over here. And let's see how it sounds with the same settings, but with these headphones. Let me try. Man, it's really incredible how much more flat and honest the sound becomes with each single feature, especially studio simulation and calibration. It's incredible. And definitely the response, I mean, it feels different on your ears physically, these headphones. So that's going to give you a little bit of a different experience. But the frequency response and the way that I hear the frequency response definitely is very similar to using the other headphones that I used just now. So that is very reassuring as well. So yeah, that's the software on the computer in a nutshell. We have a menu over here as well, just for tweaking some stuff, how much the dim attenuation is when you turn that feature on, etc. So yeah, that's the software. All right, so that's the new IK Multimedia Arc on-ear, a really cool a revolutionary device, not a game changer because I'm not allowed to use that word anymore. You guys know what I mean. But yeah, really wonderful. And I think for a lot of people, this thing is going to come in very, very handy. It's quite sturdy. And yeah, it sounds very good and very natural. It's not weird, jarring. It doesn't sound like tubby or strange. It sounds natural, and it does it with multiple headphones. I've tried multiple headphones, and it does the same thing with all the headphones that I've tried at least. So that is really cool. Massive thanks to IK Multimedia for sponsoring this video. I really appreciate it. And guys, let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. How have you experienced mixing through headphones in your life? And do you think you'll get one of these? Let me know your thoughts. I'd love to know. Also, please hit the like and subscribe buttons, as that really helps the channel out. And if you want to support the channel, you can also buy something in my affiliate links for Tomon and Sweetwater. That also really helps the channel out. Thank you guys so much for watching, and hope to see you soon. Cheers.